Hello, happy Wednesday. I'm Leslie Gadet, self-care strategist specializing in burnout prevention through incorporating self-care essentials for quality of life, both personally and professionally. And I work with female entrepreneurs who lead small teams, and I help them infuse self-care into their business so that they, along with their team members, can avoid burnout, sustain motivation, and thrive together. Thank you for so much for joining me today. I am thrilled to be here to talk to you about something that surprisingly doesn't seem to get enough spotlight in our professional lives, and that is self-care in business. Think about it. Could the real secret be for you to skyrocket your business success be linked to how you take care of yourself? That's what we're going to talk about today. So let's first dig deeper into what self care really means. At its core, self care encompasses the actions we actively take to maintain and enhance our physical, mental, and emotional and spiritual health. This concept often gets misunderstood as indulging in things like spa days or luxury retreats. That's what most people that I've talked to have said to me. Oh, I've always looked at self care as being things like mani pedis, massages, special occasions. While those can all be part of our self care, it's really about the small, everyday choices that we make that contribute significantly to our overall happiness and our health. Things like learning to say yes to the right things when filling up your calendar, where that helps you protect your time, or asking for help when you're stuck, you've hit a snag, or you're feeling a little burnt out from the push and you need guidance or you need someone to help you with something. Also, taking those daily breaks that has allowing you to allow your brain time to reset, to recharge its battery so that you can get back to what you were doing with more energy and focus. Now, picture this. Self care is like the regular maintenance of a high performance car. So, just as that car needs quality fuel, regular oil changes, and occasional tune ups to run at its best, we as human beings too need proper nutrition, enough rest, and mental breaks to function optimally. And it's about listening to our bodies and mind and understanding what our mind and our body needs, and then taking steps to provide that. And here's an important point to emphasize: practicing self care is not a sign of selfishness, okay? In fact, taking time for yourself for self care is often seen as, again, as a luxury or even a waste of time, or some people would say an intrusion on our time because we either don't realize its benefits or feel like it's selfish or that everything else is important and that once you build and achieve your goals, well, that you hope to lead to that will lead to more time, right? That more time freedom, that we can set aside time for self-care. The secret to time, having that time freedom, is time management. It's like actually knowing what your goals are, actually having clarity in what you're doing so that you can actually put on your calendar what fits and what will actually be in alignment with where you're at in your journey right now, not 10 years down the road, not 2 months down the road. You're where you're at right now. And I think that's what happens as a lot of people get too far in advance thinking, like an advanced thinking or future thinking, that they forget to be present in what they're doing and aligning whatever their goals are, their tasks are with today, like where they're at today. But let's rethink the perspective, right? Like when you're, as an example, when you're well rested, you're mentally clear, you're emotionally balanced, how much more effectively do you think you can handle your business challenges? Probably a lot more, right? It's like putting on your oxygen mask first before helping others. You're far more equipped to be of service to those around you who need you when you've taken care of putting your own oxygen mask on first because you're not flailing around, right? So in business particularly, self-care becomes a vital tool. It's not just about keeping you healthy, it's about keeping you resilient, sharp, and clear-headed. It's about equipping you to face the daily challenges and stresses of the business world with a steadier hand and a clearer mind so that you are less reactive and more proactive in your responses. So, when we talk about self care, we're really talking about a range of activities from ensuring that you get enough sleep each night to taking those short breaks during your workday for mental clarity, from eating nourishing meals to engaging in physical activities that rejuvenate you, or to feed your brain with the energy it needs when working on large tasks. And from practicing mindfulness to ensure mental well being, to carving out time for hobbies and passions that feed your soul, all of these actions, big or small, form the mosaic of self care. Each piece essential in its own right, contributing to the overall picture of your health and well being. And let's not forget that self care is highly individual. What works for one person may not work for another person, right? What works for your husband or your wife or your friend or your sister or your mom or your dad, it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to work for you. It has to be highly individualized to like your lifestyle, because we all lead very different lifestyles. Some of us have children, some of us small children, some of us have children in grade school, some of us have adult children, some of us are caregivers to our parents or to other people. It just depends, but the key is to find what resonates with you, what helps you recharge, and what keeps you at your best, both in your personal life and in your world of business. And in so doing, supporting each other as a team when you're in the business, realm, like when you're at work, when you're in the environment of working with your team, either as a CEO or as a team member, that you inspire each other to focus on your wellness. Remember, a team that grows together flows well together. Or another way to say it is teamwork makes the dream work. So I want you to keep this broader, more holistic understanding of self care in mind, because it's not a luxury, it's a necessity, especially in our demanding world of business. So now you might wonder then how self care connects to business. Well, it directly impacts our cognitive functions. For instance, adequate sleep and mindfulness practices enhances our focus and decision-making abilities, like critical skills, right, for any business professional. And when you're in the midst of working on large projects, you want to make sure that you're not exhausted, like mentally exhausted, physically exhausted, because it's going to be really hard to focus, correct? Emotional intelligence is a key component of effective leadership and team management, because it's bolstered through self-care practices like meditation and introspection. Like emotional intelligence also of knowing like your own emotions, how you manage your emotions, but also how other people are emotionally wired, especially in your team when you work in large groups, understanding each other and being able to navigate that as well. So a study can there were studies done um, that talked about like the reason why employees who are actively engaged in self-care have a higher increase in their productivity and creativity, and they are actually now finding that when people are out there and they're looking for a job, they're actually looking a lot more, being more discerning. In other words, it wasn't just about, okay, I have this I have a degree, there's this company I want to work for, they're going to pay me X amount of dollars, they pay well. It's more than that now. They want there to be diversity of different people, different ideas, people coming in and being able to add to being a culture add to the environment. And also, people are also looking for that quality of life. They are looking for companies who actually care, because there are people out there especially who work for like corporate, and I'm sure it's no different than working in a team if there is no self-care mindset. That a, what a lot of people are saying is that they feel their current employer doesn't care about them at all when it comes to them being a human being. It's just about them filling a seat and being productive, and that's it. And so they're being more discerning in when they're going out and finding those jobs. And a lot of the time too is it's not just wanting to have like that 9 to 5 sitting in a seat job. A lot of now people are out there looking for hybrid jobs, meaning they work part-time in the office and part-time at home or fully remote. So, how does self care directly connect to business success? You might be wondering. How does taking care of myself impact my work? Well, the connection is stronger and more crucial than you might think. When you're well rested, nourished, and mentally at peace, your cognitive functions like memory, attention, and problem solving skills, they significantly improve. So think of a time, let's just do a little exercise. Think of a time when you had a great night's sleep. How did you feel the next day at work? Chances are you were more focused, you made decisions more easily, and you tackled complex tasks with greater ease. And the reason is because adequate sleep, mindfulness practices, and even physical exercise can sharpen your brain. These together lead to clearer, more effective decision making. So I know that, for example, last night I slept really great. I woke up really great. And it makes a difference when you are intentional about how you set yourself up for a good night's sleep. But that's for another video. And I actually did a video a few weeks ago about positioning yourself for a really good night's rest is really helpful. So if you can go back and check that out or DM me and I'll send you the link. So one of the lesser discussed benefits of self-care is the positive impact on emotional intelligence. When you engage in self-care activities like meditation, yoga, or even journaling, you develop a deeper understanding of yourself and your emotions, right? We talk about knowing your emotions and how you're emotionally charged and how you're wired and how you respond to when you're triggered. This introspection enhances your ability to empathize, to understand and connect with other people. This is a vital skill, especially for leaders and team members alike. So again, understanding how you respond to when you're triggered is also going a little deeper in understanding why you're being triggered by something. That also can teach you that if this is something that you find yourself being triggered around a certain specific thing, that it also will help you to understand someone else in your environment who might get triggered this by the same type of thing, but they react this a different way, and understanding that and maybe even being able to manage their emotions. And that's where emotional intelligence comes in, because it allows you to handle those interpersonal dynamics within your team with more empathy and patience, creating that harmonious and productive work environment, which of course we want to have that. Listen, having quality of life at home is fantastic, but having quality of life at work, I think would cut down probably significantly on the amount of people who say I hate my job. I really feel like most people, if I could have a conversation with them, it would really come down to not hating their job so much as not really liking their life, not because they're not taking care of themselves. There is no self-care mindset and there's no self-care at the office, but they really do love the job that they do. Okay. So let's face it, it's important that self-care become a mindset within our businesses, within our corporate environment, within our business environment, within the leaders and our team members, to understand that as a team together having this mindset is going to really make for, like more quality of, I said, life at work. So let's talk about stress management. Leadership comes with its fair share of stress, right? Regular self-care, effective stress busters will enable you to maintain composure in high pressure situations, whether it's a physical activity like maybe going for a run, or maybe a hobby you like to paint. Someone I know has a guitar and she will take time out to play her guitar, or just spending time in nature, going out for a walk. These can help you release the built up tension, keeping you grounded and calm. Now, here's something that I read recently, which it doesn't surprise me, but it's unfortunate. So, according to the Center for Disease Control, National Institute on Occupational Safety and Health, the workplace is the number one cause of life stress. The American Institute of Stress reports that 120,000 people die every year as a direct result of work-related stress. And additionally, healthcare costs resulting from work-related stress totals an average of $190 billion a year. So this is why it's so important that you take a look at, if you have a team, you work in, or are part of a team in an environment, how can you bring self-care into the workplace to make it a much easier, more a place where you feel good about going to work, where people are coming in and they're rested and they're focused and they're energized and they work well together, and there's more productivity as a direct result of taking care of each other, because you have this mindset that, oh, I'm valued as a team member, I'm valued as the leader of a team, I'm valued as the owner of this business by everyone in the business, because we are a team. Again, teamwork makes the dream work. Even if you are the leader or the CEO, whatever that role that you have, still being a part of a team. Like, again, you've heard the saying, there's no I in team. It's not about an uh, individual and what they bring to the table, is what together we bring to the table, because we're stronger together. So, as a leader, when you prioritize your well being, you're not only taking care of yourself, but also setting a powerful example for your team. It's about creating a work culture that values self care. Because when your team members see you taking those regular breaks, or engaging in wellness activities, or simply prioritizing your health, they feel encouraged to do the same thing. And it leads to more balanced, motivated, and ultimately more productive workforce. And remember, what I said earlier about asking for help, well, it's been reported that 81% of founders hide their stress fears and challenge stress, sorry, stress, not stress fears, but stress, fears, and challenges from others. And more than half of them hide their stress from their co-founders. So if they are in business with someone else, they won't even tell their partner. So when you think about this statistic, and if you have a team, or you have a partner in business, what message are you relaying when you keep things to yourself? Are you saying that asking for help is a weakness, therefore it's better to suffer in silence? And is that what you would prefer? I know that that's not what you prefer. And which leads me to talk about burnout, because I ran a workshop last September around 4 stages of burnout. And this is one of the things I think is really important to understand, that why I'm advocating so highly about self-care being in the business world, because especially when you spend so much time of your day, every single day, with the people that you work that you work alongside. And so I want you to be really cognizant of different stages of burnout that you could start to recognize today, so that you don't go down burnout road like I've done. I've done it, and I've talked to multiple women who've done the same thing because they ignored the signs. So the first stage of burnout that I talked about was the honeymoon phase, which is where you experience enthusiasm and high levels of energy. So when you find you're passionate about what you're doing, you're finding yourself pushing through to meet deadlines without taking breaks, maybe even ignore signs of stress or fatigue, thinking you have all the energy in the world, because after all, you say, I feel great. However, you keep repeating this type of behavior day in and day out, you will find yourself in the next stage of burnout, which is onset of stress. And this is where the initial enthusiasm starts to waver, and you may face challenges and stressors. You may experience mild symptoms of burnout, like feeling tired or unfulfilled. And you may even deny that anything is wrong, or avoid dealing with anything that comes up that could be an indicator to slow it down and take a closer look at how you're feeling, because you say, I have a deadline to meet, I have no choice. But the choice in the matter is, again, it comes back to effectively managing your time. Really, time freedom comes from managing your time well. So that you don't end up in this unfulfilled stage of onset of stress, in this road to burnout, because you've allowed yourself time. You've looked at your time, and you've scheduled your time well around self-care and around business goals and family time and all of those things, so that you don't lead yourself down that road to burnout into the third stage, which is chronic stress and burnout. And this is where you start feeling the physical effects of stress, leading to emotional exhaustion, overwhelm, feeling detached, maybe even withdrawing from social situations. And you may struggle with feelings of cynicism or negativity. Your body may even start to exhibit symptoms. Like in my case, one of my first memories of burnout, I didn't know it was burnout, but as I looked back over my lifetime, I realized I was in burnout because of how I was working. But I had panic attacks. I developed hives and lactose intolerance. And last but not least, stage 4, which is the all-out crisis and burnout syndrome. This stage involves complete burnout, where you can no longer function effectively in your day-to-day. Your physical and your mental health problems become more severe, which end up impacting every area of your life. And in some cases, you may even need to take a leave of absence from work or shut down from everything just so you can recover. Now imagine, just think of your, think of the bottom line of your company, and you find yourself in stage 4 burnout, and you're like, uh-oh, like I'm in trouble here. What can you do? Because now you've allowed yourself to get to this place. And again, it's our choice. We either pay attention or we ignore. And we're the ones that bring ourselves down that road. And so when you do that, you have to think like, okay, am I going to actively continue participating in this this journey that I'm on to all out burnout, or am I going to stop and take time to really like look at what I'm doing, look at my calendar, how am I using my time effectively or not? Am I getting the rest I need or not? Things like that. Because it's really important, because what happens is if you get to this stage of burnout, you're going to find yourself having to take that time and shutting down just so you can recover, like shutting down from everything just so you can recover. And again, as I said, I have spoken with multiple women over the past 6 months who've told me their burnout stories, and we all have one. We just don't necessarily know it until we start thinking about it, that we all have a burnout story, because it's become the norm. Now, there is another stage of burnout. It's called habitual burnout. And this represents a critical point where burnout becomes deeply ingrained in our lives and can have severe consequences if left unaddressed. This is where burnout becomes a pattern, affecting our behavior, our emotions, and our overall well-being. It's when you have a constant sense of emotional exhaustion, you feel detached from your work, you experience chronic physical and mental fatigue, and may even find it challenging to detach from work-related thoughts and worries, even during non-working hours, struggling to find joy or satisfaction in your accomplishments. Now, at this stage of burnout, it can distort your thinking patterns, which can lead to negative self-perception and a perpetual cycle of self-doubt. Physical symptoms may become more pronounced, such as chronic headaches, digestive issues, difficulty sleeping, panic attacks, like in my case, hives, developing even lactose intolerance, which was what happened to me because I was ignoring it. I didn't know. I had no idea. I thought this is the way it was. I was in my early 20s working a full-time job where I was like, go, go, go. Hours was like, yeah, I got it. I would work and I wouldn't take care of myself even outside of the office sometimes. And I know some of you out there who know what it was like to be in your 20s. When you be out there going out with your friends, there would be those nights where it would be an all-nighter. And I'm not talking about drinking and getting sloppy. I'm talking about staying up all night and just having fun with your friends, going to work the next day thinking you've got it all together, you've got the energy, and then going to bed the next night and being able to bounce back. That was easy for me to do for a little while until it caught up to me. And the toll on our relationships too can also be significant, as burnout affects our ability to engage socially and maintain healthy connections. So burnout is a real risk. Like I said, it's become the norm. But when you intentionally incorporate self-care into your routine every day, you are going to be taking proactive steps to avoid burnout, both for yourself and your team, because you're going to be leading by example. Because a well-rested, mentally and physically healthy leader is far more effective and inspiring than one who's running on empty. So self-care is not just about feeling good. It's about equipping ourselves with the necessary tools to perform at our best in our businesses, right? It's about ensuring that you as a leader or even as a team member, that you're operating at your peak potential. The benefits of self-care in business are manifold, from improved decision-making and emotional intelligence to better stress management and reduced risk of burnout. And it all adds up to a more effective, resilient, and successful business professional. So take Oprah Winfrey, for example. She attributes part of her success to self-care and inspires others to do the same. She says, taking care of yourself is key to moving your life forward. Start with self-care basics to fully and holistically own your health. Melinda Gates talks about fitting in meditation to strengthen mental health, noting that just a few minutes daily can make a significant impact. Like I said, the benefits of self-care in business are manifold. If we all made a choice to live our lives from the perspective that self-care is an essential tool for our overall well-being, just imagine what it could do for us, not only personally, but our businesses. I believe that when you have a holistic approach in your business, that it can lead to a significant reduction in workplace burnout and turnover rates, right? You want to have that team retention. You don't want to have to keep having to find someone else or have to fire someone because they're not working out, or having to look for someone new and then to train them and hope that they stay. Fostering a healthier, more engaged workforce is helping your team thrive. And a team, as I said, teamwork makes a dream work. After all, we spend, again, so much time with our business colleagues and our peers on a daily basis that it just makes sense to want to show up as our best selves from that place of self-care is healthcare. Having this ideology at the forefront, I believe, will lead to an improved team morale and customer satisfaction because your team is engaged and focused because they're taking better care of themselves, which I believe will positively impact a company's reputation and bottom line. I can say from the conversations that I have been having with female business owners who have teams of up to 28 members is that they, the CEO, understand the importance of self-care as a vital piece of the puzzle for their business success as a whole. Even for them personally, but for their businesses as a whole, having that holistic approach, or wellness mindset as part of their standard operating procedures, that it's essential. Do companies see the advantages of wellness within as a foundational piece to business success? Well, right now I am conducting market research questions, calls, asking questions to get to the root of some of the questions that I have to answer that question. I've found that the women I've spoken with so far, they've said that self-care is extremely important to them, and one that they not only take seriously for themselves, but for their teams as well. Now, Udemy Business reported on a poll done by Gallup stating that disengaged employees cost the world $8.8 trillion in lost productivity in 2022 alone. So I would say that when companies invest in wellness programs for their teams, it most definitely will make a difference, especially when, again, on the same report, they said a Glassdoor survey reported 76% of job seekers considered a diverse workforce an important factor when evaluating companies and job offers. So for me, what this says is that people who are out job hunting are looking for quality of life in the workplace. I've spoken with a few paralegals recently who have told me that they have felt burnt out working constant 70, 80-hour weeks consistently until they felt they couldn't do it anymore. And they left their employer to find jobs less demanding on their time. So it wasn't about the money, it was about quality of life. That's one of the reasons why I got into business on my own, was quality of life. The hustle and grind was no longer satisfying. So again, not only do people want diversity, they also want quality of life. So we can incorporate self-care into our business environment by starting with us as the leader, with us as the team members. But when you have a business leader who prioritizes self-care, it sets a precedent for their entire team. So implement policies that encourage work-life balance, or harmony if you prefer that word, like flexible working hours, hybrid and remote. I know a lot of people work online, so the hybrid part situation doesn't really apply to them. But if you do have a brick and mortar and you have people coming into the office, consider that hybrid approach where they part-time in the office and part-time at home. And implement policies like wellness initiatives and mental health support. Encourage regular breaks and physical activity. Remember, a little investment in self-care today will go a long way in enhancing both personal well-being and business success. So I want to remind you that self-care, again, is not just a personal luxury, it's a business necessity. And it's really not a luxury, it's an essential, because it enhances our capabilities as professionals, and it enriches our work environment, and it also enhances and gives us quality of life, not only in the office and so outside of the office when we do, we have our own personal self-care, but also within the office because we spend so much time together. So I encourage each of you to reflect on your self-care practices and see where you can make improvements because your business, your team, and most importantly, you will benefit immensely from it. So thank you for spending time today with me today. I hope that you found what I spoke on useful and that it made you stop and think about what real quality of life can look like when you look at self-care as a foundational pillar of your business. I hope you have an amazing day and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.